Now, of course, there's the Breakfast Central with that entertainment. And let's start with this one. We kick off in Nollywood. While we've seen several hit films, of course, hit box office, gain attention globally, and even amass great watch time this year alone, it hasn't chased away all the critics. Now, one of Nigeria's leading studios, Ebony Life, dropped a brand new film, Eleshoba, now The King's Horseman, on the 4th of November, and it's since received mixed reactions from fans all across the globe. So much so that the head of studio, Moabudu, has responded to negative criticism, trailing the Eleshoba film. Now, responding to critics, Moabudu praised lead actor Deyemi Okonlawo, and then threw a jab. She says, tagging him, she says, our darling Olunde, who gave a most commanding performance, Eleshoba, The King's Horseman, will stand the test of time forever and ever. It will always be a reference point in moving pictures, as it's the first time that this play has been done as a feature film. It will go over the heads of some because they are uneducated about this work. But I am glad to see that many of your followers are exposed to understanding the concepts and thematics displayed in our film. It truly is a work of art. Now, critics are common parts of many projects, whether successful, honestly, groundbreaking, or bare. In fact, some have built careers as respected critics. Now, Eleshoba is certainly not the first film to be criticized, neither would it be the last. Now, if you didn't know, the film was produced by Moabudu herself, directed by the late B. Bandele, and was setting the Oyo Empire. Now, it follows the story of a king's horseman who must commit ritual suicide to follow his deceased king into the afterlife. Well, a big congratulations, of course, for, in fact, the release of the film itself. It's great, and I'm sure you can go watch it on different platforms. But still on movies, this time, let's go to Ghana. Emmanuel Ni Adom Kwaye, popularly known as Striker, in the hit Hollywood film, Beasts of No Nation, has reappeared in spotlight on social media after a hiatus of many months. Now, the young actor has occasionally been in the news for not being able to make good use of the fame he got from starring in the international movie with award-winning actor Idris Elba. Now, in the movie, or in the video making rounds currently, Emmanuel Kwaye was spotted selling coconut in a wheelbarrow. Now, as unfortunate as it seems, this is not the first time the young actor has been spotted on the streets in Accra. In 2018, it even led to a public charge to get him off the streets. Now, there are some reports that Striker had sometime revealed that his manager had not given him any amount, or at least the amount of 30,000 US dollars, which was paid to him by the producers of The Beast of No Nation. Now, Striker has even opened up in an interview that he would rather learn a trade than go back to classroom, like school. Now, Beast of No Nation is a 2015 American war drama. It was, of course, filmed and co-written and produced and directed by Kari Joji Fukunaga. And it was also acted, he also played the role of being a cinematographer. It was about a young boy who becomes a child soldier as his country goes through a horrific war. Now, it was shot in Ghana and, of course, stars Idris Elba, Abraham Atta, amongst others. Now, the film is based on a 2005 novel of the same name by Uzodin Maiwela. And the book itself was, of course, named after one of Fela's albums. So, while, of course, the film is a big one, I saw it, I loved it. It's crazy to see that such an actor, is on the streets. But definitely, I hope that papers are being signed and people actually, support, honestly, right? Supporting is super important in anything that people do in arts. Finally, on the international scene, it's great news for fans of English multi-award winning actor Daniel Kaluuya. Now, the primetime star is reported to be joining the Spider-Man cast into the Spider-Verse universe alongside Shameik and Hailee Steinfeld in the film's sequel. Now, Kaluuya will voice the character of Hobart, or Hobie Brown, aka Spider-Punk. Now, the character is a more recent Marvel comic creation, having first appeared in 2015. Now, the plot details, of course, if I know Marvel, are being kept secret, but Miles Morales, who is voiced by Shameik will be Brooklyn's full-time friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, as he's forced to re-team with Spider-Gwen, who's going to be voiced by Hailee Steinfeld, and a new cadre of Spider-Man people to face off with a powerful villain. Now, the sequel to the Oscar-winning animated film will be directed by Justin K. Thompson and 3 others. Amy Pascal, Phil Lord, Chris Miller, and Christina Steinberg are producing. Now, Across the Spider-Verse, of course, is the second of a planned trilogy, dropping June 2nd, 2023. Now, there's also going to be a third installment, we know that already, and that's going to be Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. But that one will come much later, on the 29th of March, 2024. Now, the first film made over 370 million US dollars globally. So fingers crossed, we're definitely going to see this one exceed more expectations. I'm sure of it. I'm definitely sure of it. But honestly, there's so much happening in movie scene, but I have to ask you, critics are a normal part, of course, of films. Do you think Nigerian audience sometimes are a little too harsh when they're criticizing these films when they drop? What do you think?
Did you pick to hear what we were saying? We're just saying the same thing a few minutes ago concerning Rotten Tomatoes and Nigeria. I think sometimes when we criticize, let's be honest, we go over the board sometimes. Let's just be honest. But I know what it means like in this economy to spend some money, go to the cinemas, and then you don't feel anything. You come out angry now. Olive.
Well, for the election about criticism, I haven't seen it. I plan to see it this weekend, so I cannot really speak as to what my thoughts are about the film. However, I would say that this film was written by Wole Soyinka, screenplay written by B. Bandele of blessed memory, and it's now on Netflix. I would say that from my perspective, we're telling African stories. The Yoruba culture is being projected on the global scene. This year alone, we've not even finished recovering from the impact of Anikulapo by Kule Afolayan, and now we have Election Oba, which is a story that a lot of us knew about. You know, it's a folklore that has been talked about the person who dies with the king. And growing up, I used to hear those days, they'll talk about Oro tradition, they'll talk about when the king dies, there are people who are meant to die with him. Some of us read this book. I am excited to see it, but critics will always abound. I guess that's part of what movie is. Art is, what's the word, relative. The way that I see art will not be the way that you see art. And there have been positive reviews about the film, so I'm excited to see it shortly. And just before we started entertainment, I talked about Daniel Kaluuya in Us. No, it's not Us. The movie in You. The movie I was thinking of was Us, and it's not even Daniel Kaluuya, it was Lupita Nyong'o. So I'm excited for him joining the Spider-Man universe. I can't wait.
You know, I wanted to wrap this up, of course, by telling you my native name, because I thought that was interesting.
What's yours, by the way?
So mine is Oluwatomi Sin, and that is Yoruba meaning God is enough for me to serve. And I like that.
Adafue.
That's good. That's good.
So, Joe, remind us what's your native name again.
Mfonabasi.
So, from Oluwatomi Singh, Mfonabasi, and Obiageliaku.